So, good morning, everybody. My name is James Henderson, and I'm going to be your instructor for the next 45 to 60 minutes on tackling this remodel that we're going to be working on. And the essence of this is we're trying to create a spa type environment. Whereby the bedroom and the bathroom had, a flow through it. And in this design, what you're going to see ultimately when I take you through it is we removed a partition wall that was here that actually housed a closet, and by inserting a glass wall and then just some custom ornate woodwork here, we were able to allow light to flow through. While pretty much keeping the sound between the two rooms to a minimum, and brighten the entire area. The goal here was basically to create the spa environment for a client. Something that allowed for a couple of vanities in here, a large freestanding tub, certainly a large walk-in shower, and then even we're going to be, putting some customized tile and so on into the design. And so that's kind of the direction that we're going to go. And I hope over the next 60 minutes to be able to take you through as much of this as possible. We're going to be using, SoftPlan 2018 for doing this. You're going to see we'll be using a lot of SoftPlan Plus symbols simply because the plus symbols have a greater amount of detail. And as part of this class, I'm also going to show you that I'm not afraid to actually go outside the realm of the program and find a custom symbol and or texture to use to satisfy, what the design is going to be, when it's finished. And that's going to happen as it pertains to the tub and even the tile floor. So if you see some things in the design today and you're wondering where that is, I'm going to do my best to point out what comes with the program and then, some of the items that I've actually imported into the software. I'm going to go ahead and minimize what we have. And this is basically, for all intents and purposes, the layout of the design. Now, I did not take the time to draw the entire house. I'm only concerned about the bedroom and then this space over here, which we're basically going to use to create the large spa-like bathroom. As you can see at this stage, it's basically a Jack and Jill bathroom with two bedrooms opening onto one bathroom that's going to be here. And as I take this into the main floor plan, you can see we've got the two bedrooms, if you will, a walk-in closet here as well as this closet, and then this bedroom, also, as it basically comes through, had its own closet here. And so all I've done is basically sketch in the area that's going to be affected for the house. In reality, the client is typically going to pay for the entire house to be modeled anyway, so model the section that you basically are going to be working within. So the design is going to call for basically stripping out a lot of this area and combining this smaller bedroom, okay, guest suite, if you will, and this bathroom to create basically a very large spa-like area, if you will. And then this area here where the closet is where we're actually going to, when it's all said and done, we're going to insert a, the bamboo partition custom wall that's going to be there. We're actually going to insert a glass wall, which we will define, okay, to run around the corner, and then we're going to use bamboo shoots in a rock garden just to basically give that that spa-like feel for the client. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in and just using the cross erase in my case, I'm actually just going to remove a lot of this information that I don't necessarily need. Okay, and so in this case here, what we're going to do is we're going to combine these areas here to create this into a large walk-in closet, which basically eliminates the need for two closets. And then we'll on the fly begin to maneuver this into the bathroom that we want. And so again, I'm actually going to remove that out of the equation for right now. And as I do this, I'll be able to continue to open up and view the 3D as it unfolds. You'll see that I've got some hardwood in here, and so ultimately changing modes on the fly will allow me to go in and see different items that have possibly been drawn in, such as the baseboard and the flooring, and just removing those out. Right now, for all intents and purposes, I do not have a ceiling drawn in here. This is allowing us to basically look down into the 3D so that we can see what we're what we're doing as far as the viewing is concerned. And so this wall right here, we're actually going to remove that wall out of the design, and we're going to replace it, as I said, with kind of a custom partition and a glass wall and so on, as the design begins to unfold. And so for right now, I'm probably just going to go in and show you how to define that custom wall that we're going to be working with, because that glass wall, I'll also use it for the shower that's going to be placed over here in the back right hand corner for our layout. And so what we can do is, inside the file and the drawing options, I can come in through the define wall. So it's just simply file, drawing options, and define wall. And I'm going to come in here and just edit to begin to set up my own wall in here. And so I'm going to select the new option, and for today I'm just going to call it FF for Friday Fundamental, if you will, glass shower wall. And realistically, I would probably just call that shower wall or something along that lines, but I know I already have one in there, so I've renamed it something different so that we can define this from scratch. And so once this has been put in, by default, the Adobe brick goes in, and this is where I can now go in and just scroll down. These are listed alphabetically, and I'll pick the glass material. I can then set up what the dimension is going to be as far as the thickness is concerned, and I can even go through and begin to color code, these items in here if I want this to be, something different on the screen, which I probably will. I'm going to typically change my glass wall to blue, and I'll even set the, as far as its shading, whether it's going to be solid fill or just a shaded fill on the drawing screen. And that's going to just allow it to jump out, if you will, for me. Having defined that, I can now right-click and select the draw wall. I've got my glass shower wall right here, and now what I can do is just simply come in and sketch where I want that shower wall to be placed. This would allow me to then dimension this, exactly, the size that I want as far as, laying this out. And so in this case here, depending on what you're doing, I'll make it 3'8" or 3'10" or whatever, based on the size that I have available. Okay, and the same thing over here, I'll just type in, let's say 6'4". So we've got a large walk-in shower that we're going to be building. And as I zoom in on this, okay, down into the bathroom area, you can see the glass already has a bit of a transparency going on there, so we can actually see through it. The sunlight makes it a little bit difficult to, as far as, how bright it is. So what I may do at this stage, just for ease of being able to show you on the 3D model, is change into ceiling mode. And I'm actually going to take the time to actually, add my ceilings in. And so I'm going to manually trace this so that it runs right over. It doesn't trace around the walls of the shower itself, and then I'm going to add another ceiling over here in a similar way, something like so. Okay, or and also one down in this area like this. And so now we've got basically our three ceilings in play. But the key here is it's actually going to block that sunlight kind of coming down, so that we can work with this on the plan itself. Another thing that I may do is I'm going to create some sort of a curb, that's going to be in there, because that's what we're going to place a curb around where the bamboo, planter is going to be, and so if I come in, I could actually do the same thing just by coming in through File and the drawing options. And once again, inside the define wall, I'll do my edit, and this is where I can now come in and create another new wall, and this is just going to be a curb. And so at this stage right now, I could change this, and I'm going to come down here and just pick it for a wood material or something along that lines. I could make it just a simple plate, but it's really just something that's going to set out for my curb on there. And so in this case here, let me just I'll select the. I'm going to use a placeholder for right now until I know what I'm doing exactly. So I'll set this up as a solid, and I'm going to set this up as 4 inches in width, and the height on this is actually only going to be about 12 inches, and so the same thing all the way across. And so once I've done this, I'm going to, at this stage, adjust this wall back, because this is going to, if you will, be my 8-foot wall, and then coming in here using my draw wall, I can actually add this, small curb wall in here. And as I zoom around, I can actually edit this now, and I'm just going to change this wall to my curb and to my 4 inches as far as the height is concerned. And so as we begin to play with this wall, we'll be able to, go in and add it on there. Let me just take a quick look here, because I think if I go into my materials, I actually need to turn that material on as far as the wall is concerned. So there's my solid that I'm using, and I would expect there it is. Okay, and so now we've actually got this shallow curb wall that's going to be in there where I can actually create kind of a see-through area. And so I'm just setting this all up here on the plan right now, and so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll just pick draw select, and I'm going to draw this same wall in here like so. And so now, if using my move and my align to edge, I'll be able to come in, I'm going to select this edge of the wall and just align those two. And so we actually have kind of our curb, right here. And this is where we're going to place the bamboo, and then we'll place a glass wall sitting on top. Okay, so just kind of building this up, getting my walls in place first. Now, I can use the same draw select, and I could pick this glass wall. Okay, and I could actually, draw that in running down the middle, or running, over here on the edge, if you will, something like so. And so as I do that, I'm going to actually have the glass placed, and you can actually see it here inside the 3D, right? And at this stage now, you could actually modify the height and change the offset. But the key is that that's been, placed in there. And now what I can do is, using the move command, I could actually move this to the inside of this wall here. Because we're actually going to place the partitions, on top of the curb that we have created. So that's just creating a couple of different walls for what we're looking to do. The material, or the blue that I'm here, in a lot of cases, I actually work inside the shaded mode. This generates much, much faster than working inside the texture mode. Ultimately, we'll get to the texture and so on. Now, you'll see that there's a gap up here, and this is because originally when the ceilings were put in place, we had a partition that was sitting there. So I either need to adjust the ceiling all the way across, or in my case, I'll probably erase something like that and just drag this all the way through, because realistically, there's going to be some amount of ceiling where we would probably tear down a lot of this and just replace it as one running all the way through, and that gets rid of that gap that you're seeing at the top there. Okay. So we have our basic, outline of our shower. We basically laid out this area where we're going to eventually place, other materials in. So let's continue forward by going in and maybe adding in our cabinetry that we're going to be, placing here. And so what I will do is I will come in through draw, and I'm just going to select cabinet, and I'm going to select the base option. And when I select the base, I can go in and I can actually modify, what the width is going to be as far as the dimensions are concerned. I can pick what the face panel is going to look like. So you'll see that we've got a host of face panels that are in there. All right, and so you just simply select what it is, and you'll be able to go in and customize this. But because of the style we're using, I'm going to go with more of a flat panel as far as our options concerned. And then when I have this information, I can also come in and specify, I want the 2-door, 1-drawer flat sink as opposed to having the handle on there, and so have that option applied. And so once I have selected or set up what my options are going to be, I'll leave this dialog open for just a second, and I'm going to click to start and click to finish, which is simply click at the back of the symbol, draw towards the cabinetry's front, and click to set it down. And again, now I'm just going to come back, and I'll just keep the same option for right now, just simply to add a secondary cabinet in there, and then we'll add the 36-inch cabinet that's going to be placed, and I'm just going to, at this stage, click OK. I can use the move tool and set this up so that we've got enough room for the overhang on either side. Obviously I know the layout a little bit better than you do, but in this case here, as we're taking a look at this, I can come into the 3D, and this is what we have for the cabinets. Again, I'm working in shaded mode right now as far as the design is concerned, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to right click on the tab up here, and I'm going to move my 3D tab into a new vertical tab group. And what that's going to do for me is basically give me this split screen to begin working with. So as I work in plan over here, I'll see the options change over here inside the 3D and vice versa. So the first thing I'm going to do is part of this design is I want to actually lower this middle cabinet, which I set as a 27-inch cabinet, or sorry, yeah, 27 inches in width, and I want to lower as far as its height's concerned, and basically just have a set of drawers in here, and then somewhere that we can put a decorative vase and so on. So if I come in through miscellaneous and I pick the explode option and I pick this, it's going to show me my cabinets in plan view separated into individual items. And now I can edit this middle cabinet here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change its height to 27 inches, lowering it, okay, as far as the plan is concerned. And at this stage now, I can go to the face of that cabinet, and you'll see it's a standard 2-door, 1-drawer flat sink. And I'm going to come in and customize this face. So you'll see at this stage now it opens up, what we have here, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the double door. And so now what we have is we have a simple, drawer panel that's going to be placed on there. Okay. And again, you can, if I take everything out, I have nothing. But basically at this stage, I can simply do the add part. I can add a drawer, and as it does that, you can then come in and you can actually leave it either to scale to the entire height of either what's there or what's left over, or you can come in and you can fix what the dimension is going to be. So I set this to 9 inches, and then I add another part, and I'm going to come in and add a secondary drawer, and I'm going to do the exact same thing where I come in and specify this to be 9 inches, and then finally a last part where I add a drawer and do the same thing. And so what we have now is we have 3 drawers, or if, depending on what I'm doing, as far as the height's concerned, set that up. And so as I come back to this base cabinet, and I take a look, I've got a width and a height of the 27 inches that's going to be in there. And in this case here, on the countertop, which is currently granite all the way across, I'm going to just change this right now to a countertop finish of 10, because we're going to actually set it up to mimic or a wood top on this where it doesn't actually have a countertop. And so as I click OK and I come back into my 3D shaded, you're going to see now that as I look at this, this is what we've created. So we set our shower up, we've got our area over here that we're eventually going to fill out with the garden in there, and then we've got basically our 2 cabinets flanking this lower section here. And if I change this into textured for just a second, which will show this just a little bit better for you. Okay, but you can begin to see, it slows down the generation a little bit. I'll now be able to come in and I'm going to edit this cabinet here, and I'm going to change its finish from maple, light to maple dark, which actually darkens that down. And then I'm going to go to the countertop and I'm going to change this to marble, which will allow me, I'm going to go in just a second and actually change the finish on that. And so I'll click repeat edit on this cabinet to apply the exact same change. And so now as I surface edit this countertop, and I'm working within the marble options, and I'll come down to the textured, this will allow me to now scroll the list of default textures, and in this case I'm going to add a light or white style marble texture on that finish. Okay, and so once again in the middle section here, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to give it the same maple dark option. And here I want to also go into the accessories, and we're going to change the drawer handle hardware to be a little bit different than what we have on the doors themselves. And so we have something like this. And now what I could do is just using the edit surface copy paste, I'm going to pick this option and apply it to the top. Remember, I modified this to be just a placeholder of a countertop 10 or 14 or something along that lines, so that I can assign it a wood texture. And so this gets us this. Probably the only thing I didn't do, so I'll just pop into the accessories, is I'm just going to change the hardware on this, from what's there to maybe a pull pipe or something along that lines. I'll click OK and then repeat edit that same change. And so this gives us basically, what we're trying to do for the cabinetry. Now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to, want to, add sinks and faucets and so on. And so I'm going to, I'll do this in the plan view. I'm going to just edit this, and I can do it in both 2D or 3D. And as I come into the base cabinet, I'll be able to come down here and add symbols like taps and faucets or sinks and so on to this. So if I click the sink option at this stage, it's going to pull this library up for me. I'm going to naturally gravitate to the manufacturers, and I'm going to go to the Kohler library, and I'm going to come down to the lavatories. And as I scroll this down, you'll see I've got a whole host of different options that are there. And so if I pick this one, let's say, okay, or I pick a different option, this one right here, etc., then what it's going to do is it's going to place that into the plan and cut the countertop and so on for me. And so just depending on what you're trying to do as far as the design is concerned, I click OK on that, and you see that it's placed here, and then I'll do a repeat edit over here, and what we see is we get, the two sinks, being cut into the countertop and sunken down in this case. Okay, and so that that would be the one option, and then I can even edit these on the fly after the fact. All right, and let's say pick something a little bit different. Okay, and so when I do that and I do a repeat edit, all right, just playing with designs. Now in this case here, I'm probably going to move this because obviously it's a little bit and just going to set it down into the countertop itself, and so that's just going to give me more of the vessel type options, and I'll do in this case, I'll just do a duplicate as far as getting the correct height, for what I'm looking for, and that sets this up for me. Now I'm going to move this back because it's just a little bit, more difficult to see for me as far as the size of the screen goes, but now we can see, how this is going to look, on the plan. I could add faucets in the same way, but because we're actually going to, play around with actually having, wall type faucets that are mounted there, I'm going to come in actually through the plan view, and I'm just going to select the draw and symbol. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down into the SoftPlan Plus library. And this is basically all of the manufacturers. We are constantly updating. So you'll notice when you start SoftPlan, every couple of weeks you'll get a news feed that says, hey, symbols or textures or these library items have been added, and they're automatically downloaded to you. And so these are constantly updated on the fly. And so in this case here, I'm just going to go in and to the Brizzo library, and I'm basically just looking for something that's going to be wall mounted. This will do, and now I'll just simply click on the wall and click to add. And so I'm just adding this into the drawing, something like so. And so as I regenerate this, let me just edit these and take a look at what their actual height is as far as the stack's concerned. It went from the floor only 2'2", and so I'm actually going to key in, knowing I have 36-inch cabinets here. I'm going to repeat edit that change over here. Let's take a look at what that looks like. And so we now have our vessels, with our wall-mounted taps. And so I'm basically playing with shapes right now. I'm getting everything as far as the plan is concerned, and then we'll worry about, textures and other types of items that we're going to add, to the plan. What I want to do over here on the right-hand side is I want to show you how you can import a custom symbol. Okay, while SoftPlan does a great job of keeping a lot of manufacturers, up to date for you there, it's possible you're going to want a symbol, to use. And so in this case here, and I'm going to introduce you to this if you're not familiar, but basically I've gone to Google's 3D Warehouse. And in this case, I was basically looking for a freestanding tub, okay? And so I do a search for this, and you just basically type in what you're looking for. And when I find the freestanding tub from the, in the list of, and there's literally tens of thousands of symbols that are going to be in there. But once you find what you're looking for, you can simply come in and then download the model to your desktop or to a folder that you want to store these files in. Once the file has been downloaded, you're literally just going to come in, click on this, and then you'll do your save as to determine where you're going to drop it. And you can see I've already downloaded this file at this point. Okay, so once I've downloaded this to where I want to put it, at this stage I want to create that symbol now. And so I will do this from within the floor plan. Okay, so once we've got this set up, I'm now going to come in through File. And at this stage, I'm going to come in through System Options, and I'm going to go to System Library. And when I do that, okay, it's basically, hang on one second. Just put my thing off screen. So let me just File, System Options, and System Library. There it is. And so as I, do that system library option, okay, it's going to allow me to now go in and create a new custom symbol. So when I come in through the file and system library, I'm going to change into the symbols library, which is where I wish to place this. And I'm going to, in this case here, I could create a new library by selecting add library, okay, and so on, to this. And so in this case here, I could just, type in that I'm going to call this, freestanding, tub as my option. And so that will be a library that I'm going to place this in. And I'm now going to select the wizard option. And at this stage now, I can go in and I can name this, okay? So for today, I'll just call this the freestanding tub, but it could be a custom, by the name and by the manufacturer, etc. And I'm going to select the next option. The plan view of this is not on my screen, and so I'm going to select no and pick the next option, which will then allow me to go in and import the symbol to SoftPlan. And so once I do this, I'm going to browse to my library. And so I'm going to go back out to my desktop out here. Okay, and I've actually got a Friday Fundamentals class folder that I set up, and I can come in and select the Toulouse, Bath, Victorian, et cetera, as far as the name is concerned, and click open. That's where I'm going to, import the symbol from. And now it wants to know where to store the 3D symbol. So in this case here, I'm just going to come in and I'll do a quick search, and let's place it in plumbing and click OK. And then I'll select the OK option. It's already there, so I'll just create a new library for this. So we'll just come back to this, and we'll click this and select Open. And then I'm going to select a new folder and call it Plumbing FF. And so we're going to store it in there and click OK. At this stage, it now imports the symbol, and we can see where this, what this is going to look like. Dimensionally speaking, this is according to whoever the artist was that created this for us, the manufacturer, etc. Okay, textures and so on will all be able to be applied. At this point, we're just simply looking at the 3D surfaces. I'm going to give you a heads up on this. Some of the manufacturers, as you begin to import them, their files are going to be very, very large. I have in the past imported wolf symbols, for example. Now, wolf symbols are going to, for all intents and purposes, they're into selling the detail of their actual specific, product. And so their symbol could have 16, 20, 30,000 text or surfaces on it. So just understand that as you begin to bring symbols in, it may cause a slowdown as you begin to use those on your 3D models, etc. But as I click next on this, it's going to prompt me for are the views are correct. I find typically in a lot of cases, symbols that I brought in, they're not correct. And so in many cases, I will select no on this and go in and reorient the symbol. Now, in a bathtub that's completely symmetrical, it's almost, it's going to be correct. But if I say no to this, what it will do is it will prompt me to then choose the top of the symbol. Now, you can pick any one of the views, and then I'll pick next. And then once again, you can pick the front. And in a lot of cases, these symbols from the website I took you to, the Google Warehouse, they're actually inverted. And so you'll want to pick, they'll have the back as being the front as opposed to the front, correct. So in this case here, you can pick what you want to be the front of the symbol, which is to say when I click to draw this in, I'm going to click now at the back and draw towards the front. So we're going to draw the width of it as opposed to, the lengthwise, which is what the default was. And now I can just go through and make sure all of my options are correct. And when I've done that, it will prompt me for the textures, and the textures will automatically be assigned. And you can even go in and reassign different textures before clicking through to finish this. The dimensions will be called out according to how the symbol was created. And then you can reference it to floor, ground, ceiling, etc. Okay, where you want this to be placed. And then finally, I can generate a plan view of what the symbol will look like. And so SoftPlan is now going through analyzing the model and generating a preview and clicking next before I finish. Now I can come into the draw symbol. I can come into my freestanding tub, and there's my bathtub. Okay, I can select the OK, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to click where I want this placed, and then it's snapped to the wall, so I'll just simply set this up and move it into place there for us. Okay, as I take a look at this inside the 3D, there it is. All right, so we managed to get our tub, we've got our vanities in place, we're going to work with the shower, place some faucets, and even change this opening out. But now that I have the tub to work with, I can also come in and finish out, as far as symmetry wise goes, perhaps a toilet room and so on. And so, I'm just going to dimension this all the way across. And now I can, begin to edit this, and we'll make this exactly, say, 6'8". That leaves 3'4" as far as the bathroom or where the toilet room is going to be. And even using my move and align to edge, I can pick the edge of the shower wall and the edge of the toilet wall to get those aligned properly, one to another. Okay, you can also even just dimension this into place if you want to make sure that you've got a dimension that you're going to work with. Let's say make it 6 feet so it's nice, something even and round. All right. So that's a little bit of customization, for bringing an outside symbol in. And as we take a look at this, we can begin to see what this is going to look like. So a couple of things I'm going to do with openings and further customization and so on. I need to place a shower wall in here, maybe a curb wall down here at the bottom, and we need to place a door going into this option here. And for that, what I'd like to do is come in and actually create our own custom door that we're going to use. In a lot of cases, we've actually got openings in there by default, as you know, by going to draw followed by opening. Okay, and we've got a pile of interior type doors that all ship with the Colonial, etc. And you'll notice when I clicked on this, I actually had opened up to a louver door that was there. Okay, and that's one of those that we ship the elevation, and then if you want to create your own type of opening, such as this, you could using the default library items that are in there. So what we can do is come in through File, and we're going to select System Options and System Library. And again, let me just get this on screen here. So I'll select File, System Options, and System Library just to pull this onto the screen. And I'm going to change into the Openings library to create this door that we're going to use into the toilet room, into the bathroom, and so on. And I'm going to go down to the interior door, and I'm going to create an add library for this, and we're going to call it Friday Fundamental, okay, and we'll call it, louver door. All right, and we'll select OK. And so we've now got this as our option. And then we're going to come in through the one step, and we're going to add our own opening type in here. So I'm going to call this a 32 by 80, okay, louver door. And we can, at this stage now, go in, and I'm just going to start by adding an interior door that's already in there that's 32 by 80, and then I can modify, it's what the elevation is going to look like. So as opposed to going through custom and customizing all of the dimensions that are in there. And so once I've done this and I click OK, I can now go in and edit the individual components. And this is where I wanted to show you how you can create your own custom door from here. Once I've selected the elevation, I can actually come in to the list of elevation library items that are there. I can select door, and at this stage now I can start going down and taking a look at some of the libraries that are already there inside the SoftPlan Plus library. And you'll see we've got all kinds of doors that are available to you as you click on these. And so as I'm going through, these are all doors that ship with the program that you may or may not know are already in there. So in my case here, I'm going to pick this louver door, and I'm going to pick I already made one, with this, and so I'll pick the other one and click OK. And this is what my elevation view will now look like. And so as I click OK on this and OK, I'll have that as my option to now draw. And so I'm going to erase this door out, and I'll now just pick the draw opening. It pulls this library item up, and now I can actually select where I want that door placed. I can do the same thing here as far as the door is concerned. And if I edit this door just for a second and under display, I'm just going to not open it in the model. We'll be able to see there's what we have for our style of door. Okay, again, we're just kind of creating that that feel or that spa feel for the actual opening itself. And so now I can come in, and I'm going to right now I'm just going to come in through my list of manufacturers once again, and I'm going to go to the Kohler library, and I'm going to select toilets, and I'm just going to place a toilet symbol in here, something like so. Okay, and so now we've got our toilet room set up, we've got our bathtub set up, we have the outline of our shower set up, which will also necessitate coming in through the interior door library. And when we do that, we'll be able to go down and select the shower library that's here and just pick a shower door to, to drop in. So this is what we now have as far as, our bathroom's concerned. Okay. All right, so let's go in and just continue to lay this out. Now, I'm not adverse to using a solid sometimes to convey, as long as I understand that using what's called a solid or three-dimensional shape item is not going to list in my bill of materials. So that's going to be a key when I do this. But just to show you, I will model sometimes things. So I'm using actually a cube, and all I'm doing with the cube right now is I'm basically just sketching something in, okay, to mimic, an object, which in this case is going to be like a tile, wall, and so on. Now, these cubes can be edited, and you can change their widths and their heights and so on. So I could go in and make this, 4.5 inches in width. I could make the same 4.5 inch height. Okay, and I want to make sure, as far as the offset's concerned, that it's sitting on top of my floor system. And so when I do that, and I'll come over here and do the same repeat, edit, change. Okay, I just now need to make sure everything aligns up with what I have for my my opening. And so I'm just moving these into place, and I'm going to show you what you get. And so at this stage now, we'll just adjust that up, and as I zoom this out and take a look inside the 3D, this is what we have. So in essence, I'm going to edit this glass wall, and I'm going to, this has got to go up, give or take the 4.5 inches that we had in there. So I'll click on the calculator, and I'm just going to, type in the 4.5 inches, as far as the dimensions concerned. Whoops. Yeah, I should have just done it in my head. So I'll just edit this, and I'll, edit the glass wall, and, we'll modify that up, give or take, and we're going to change the height of this to 7 feet as far as the shower wall is concerned, just to drop that down. And I'm going to also, under the comment, just take the cleanup feature off. And then I'll do the same thing and just repeat that, change over here. And so we now have the glass wall sitting on top of the cube. Now, the cube itself can be modified so that when we're looking at it, we'll be able to go in and also change its, what its textures are and so on. And that's where we're going to, now begin to dive into adding certain textures to this, okay, on the plan itself. And so if I come in and I do a surface edit on this, it will allow me to, so just editing this right here, this cube, it's going to allow me to go in and display texture. And when I do the texture here, okay, and in a lot of cases, we're going to get into now beginning to use manufacturers. So as I drill down into the manufacturer, and I'm going to go down into the Soft Plan Plus library, and I'm just taking a look to see what I have here that I can, pick from. Let's see. See where I want to go with this. So in the manufacturer, let's go with the Dollite. And if we take a look at maybe the, here, let's see what we've got. And let's go down to maybe picking the glass. We'll take a look at what we have. Okay, and you can see there's all kinds of, I'm just going through the different manufacturers that are here. And so in this case, if we assign something like that, okay, so we now have this tile running all the way across, something like so, okay, and this is just going through the manufacturer, and honestly, in a lot of cases, sometimes it just takes time to go through and find that. So this allows me to apply the texture. Now we're going to want to do the same thing for the floor, and we're going to want to do the same thing for the walls. And so this was just a 3D solid, okay, and I could even do the same thing. I'm going to do a surface copy paste and, apply that over there. So we've actually just assigned that to both areas, to kind of blend one with the other. We could also, if we wanted, just using the surface copy paste, even just put the wood there. So all I'm doing is, moving the manufacturer, textures around. Now, in the case of on the back of this wall, I'm going to now begin to maneuver myself into what is called interior mode. And as I change into interior mode, it's going to give me the ability to go in and sketch interiors into the room. And this is where this is really going to begin to jump out as we begin to bring some finishes to the actual plan itself. So inside the interior mode, I'll be able to come in through wall covering. And you'll see that at this stage, as I do that, I'm going to, come in through draw, and let's just say I pick stone tile number 1, and I'm going to pick the manual trace. And as I zoom this up, I'm just simply going to, click where I want this to start, and then run my cursor from here, and I'm actually going to run it all the way down across the back of the bathtub. And as I look at this inside 3D, it has basically placed the stone texture, if you will, on that area, okay, including the back of the shower, but then also carrying down this wall right here. And as I do that, I'll then be able to come in and modify what material I want as far as this is concerned. So once again, I'll do a surface edit on this, and this is where it just begins to I begin kind of jumping and trying to figure out what the items are that I want to use. And so in my case, I'm going to go to the manufacturer again, and I'm going to go down to the Delatile library that's right there. And as I jump into, let's say, the porcelain library, okay, we can begin to see as I scroll down, I've got all kinds of different symbols that are there. And just again, this is going to be a personal taste for what you want, but I'm actually going to pick kind of this brushed fabric type field tile that I'm going to drop on there. And in here, I can actually modify the dimensions on this. So if I want to come in and make this more of a rectangular feel going vertically, then I modified what that horizontal dimension is going to be, and I could change the what the overall height is going to be on this, and so we can just play around with that on the fly. And so that gets that option placed in there. And so we're going to do the same thing as far as the flooring is concerned inside the shower. So again, I'm working within the interior mode, and I will come in through flooring. And so in this case right here, I'm just going to, let's say, pick my tile number 1, and I'm going to manually trace inside the shower. Okay, and so as I click and add this all the way around, and once again, now at this stage, I'm looking at it and I can see what's been added there. I can do a surface edit on this. And once again, now we're going back through the various tile options that are available. So I'm going to return to the manufacturer once again, and I'm going to go back into the same library, manufacturer that I'm using. And this time, we can go into the glass, and we're just going to take a look at what we've got and perhaps add something, a little bit lighter as far as the gray is concerned. And again, you could change all of the dimensions and so on. And so that just, as you can see, quickly begins to bring the shower up to speed. Now, if to finish out, kind of we're going to want to add some flooring options to this. And so as I come in through this option here, I will come in and I'm going to just pick stone tile number 2, and I'm going to do a manual trace just to create where I want this to go. And in this case here, I'm just going to drag it through basically the main areas of the bathroom itself, including this area right here. And so as I take a look at this, whoops, let me just grab my flooring and grab my tile number 2, and I'm just going to manually trace this in. And so I think I put wall tile when I was selecting and talking at the same time. So we'll trace the complete perimeter all the way around. And as we edit this, we see it gives us a square footage. We actually see a preview of what this is going to look like. And so now I will, take a look. Now in this case here, one of the things I'm doing is I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to edit this. And in my case, I'm actually going to put my own tile in here. And you can actually come in and you can change your or add your own manufacturers and add your own symbols in as far as the design is concerned. So by all means, you could certainly go in, and you're going to see I'm actually this is one that just called Pete's, and so these are just bitmaps or JPEGs that I've actually already scanned in, and so I can add my own custom tile patterns to this depending on what it is I want to see. And so again, I've now added this to the plan. That's just a custom JPEG, okay, scanned in and copied into SoftPlan's 3D bitmaps folder, and I created my own. And so very quickly, you can see how that also will, you don't have to stick with just what we ship you or wait for us to bring a manufacturer out. You can certainly go out and get your own. Okay. So as I move through this, we're going to, do a few more things with the finishes on this in the final 15 minutes that I have with you. So I'm going to come in through wall covering, and I'm going to pick a default wall covering, not one of the paint patterns, not one of the wallpapers and so on, but I'll just pick wall covering number 22, and I'm going to just sketch this all the way across this back wall, and I'm going to take a look. And so when I do this and I surface edit this, you'll see right now it's just displaying a white texture. And I'm actually going to come in and once again, just went online, if you will, found a white brick wall that I wanted to use, okay, and that is just a JPEG, okay, that I'm actually using on that, and now, running that all the way across. Okay, and so again, this is just, wall covering number 22, okay, and you can just add that to the wall, clicking to start, clicking to finish. And so this is our bathroom to date at this point. So little things that we're going to finish this out with will include, things like mirrors. We're going to we're going to change this opening out, so we'll maybe edit this opening on the fly and change that to something, more of that's less transparent. So we could go in under the window options and select a glass block and, assign that, to the plan. We could even edit this after the fact, removing the product code and changing the dimension if we wanted to something a little less, as far as its size is concerned, and setting that up. I'm also going to go in and I'm going to, use the manufacturer to get some faucets in there, as far as the design is concerned. And so inside the main floor plan and changing into the drawing mode, okay, I can come in through the draw and symbol. Now you can do a search down here, okay, for a specific symbol if you know the name of it or you know the manufacturer of it, okay. You could actually just do a wall mounted, which is what I'm looking for. And so I could just, obviously if I do something that simple, I may wind up with things along the lines of like TVs wall mounted, but it also allows me to drill down and maybe find a wall mounted, fixture for the tub. And so I'm just going to click and add that in. And as you'll see, when I take a look at this inside 3D, I'll zoom this up. I can then just move this, where it needs to be relative to the bathtub, whether I edit the dimension or whether I just do it by eye right now, okay, but I'll have that option of where I want it to be, on the plan. Okay, so right now I'm tending to do things a little bit by eye as far as that goes. Inside the shower, the same thing could be done, okay, whereby I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to, edit and add draw and just add myself some sort of a hand shower option on the wall, and maybe even an overhead, rainfall shower. And so I could come in through this option right here, and I'm already in a bathroom, type option, so I could, take a look to see what the library is there, okay, or I'm just going to, do a quick look for a hand shower, and here we can see it pulls up all of the listings, whether they be in the generic library or whether they be in the, bathroom, libraries, etc., by manufacturer. But you can certainly just go through and find what it is that you're looking for. And once I have that, position my cursor, click to insert, click to draw. Okay, and so that adds that in there. Now I did also take the time to import, as I did with the bathtub, okay, a rainfall shower. And so this is just something that is, I've found in as far as the manufacturer is concerned. And so I could just go in and also add that if that was something that I wanted to place in some, well, maybe I didn't, I thought I had. Let me go in and take a quick peek, see if I can find it. I've got plenty of symbols in here. So we'll just take a quick look to see if I see it. Let me take a look inside my Kohler library. That is where I think I placed it. So I will go in through my Kohler, and I'm just going to go into my showers. And I'm just going to scroll down my list of shower options that are here. And so I've got there's my rainfall shower head. And so in this case here, I just actually went to the Kohler website and I, selected it. And so I actually listed it by the product code on here. And so now I can just simply click to insert and click to finish on this and move it into place. And so in this case here, as I edit this, I could, just go ahead and it's specifically going to, to the floor. I could also set it to go to ceiling and, with whatever the offset needs to be, push it up or down, etc. And so let me take a quick look. And so there is my rainfall shower head right there. And it probably doesn't need a 6-inch, offset on that. We'll just make that a 2-inch and push that up into the to the plan, or even a 0 to get it set. And so that gets us our kind of our rainfall shower head that's going to be there. And of course we could add in whatever we wanted to do as far as faucets and taps and so on with the design. And so that's I'm going to find some sort of a thermostat in here, and then we'll continue to go with our finishing this out. So if I come in through the draw and symbol, let me just find a thermostat option for our, whether it be something simple like this, okay, or if we want something a little more robust like this, then we can just basically click to insert, click to finish. And so that gets us at this stage we've got all of our options right here. So I'm going to add some mirrors, because that's going to make for a nice 3D in the next 5 minutes as we get to finish this. And so I'm just doing a quick search on the mirror option, okay, and so let me just pull this up for searching, and I'll do a quick search for, that's medicine cabinet, not as interested in that one. So we'll just scroll down looking for what we have. We've got an interior decor. I'm going to click to insert that and just place one there. And then once I've got one in there, I can always edit this, and I can, remove the or set the dimensions on this, so that if I wanted this to have like a 3'6" height, it's going to maintain the aspect ratio, and I can even offset this up. So we want this let's say 3'6", maybe 3'10" to get it above the what I've got there. And so then using the move and the copy feature, right, we can then just copy this over. Now one of the things that's going to do a lot for you as far as 3D is concerned is going to be lighting. No doubt about it. And so this is where you're going to want to come in through electrical. Okay, so I'm going to change into the electrical options. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in through the draw, and I'm going to do a quick search for can lighting. And so once I find a can light, I'm just going to click, and I'm going to place one in here. This can be dimensioned, but as I edit this, one of the things you'll get to see is you can control what the lighting is going to be, how bright it is, etc. Okay, and then once I have one of these in here, I can actually copy where I want the lighting to be placed. And so I'm, manually, I could just, actually, place these where I want them to be. Or in my case here, I'm even going to copy block and set, 2 of these, something like so. I can also come in through the draw, electrical, and this is where I can now go into the manufacturers and into SoftPlan Plus, and I'm just going to go down to the Wayfair library and take a look at what we have for manufacturers here. And in this case, let's just say we're going to place this light over the tub. And as I begin to look at these, they're going to add lights and shadows and so on to the 3D as we move closer to the finish. And so as I begin to turn on some of the options, we're going to place a couple of wall-mounted lights on this, and then I'll turn on some of the shadows and lighting for you so you can see what you get. And so I will just come into the, let's take a look at, we're going to select wall lights, there it is. And we'll click on the soft plan. We'll take a look at the contemporary that we have. We've got something there. The traditional, not so much. So I will, select, let's say this one, and we're just going to place one here. And I will typically, because I'm going to be placing as many as I do, a lot of times I will go in and adjust any lighting and heights and so on before I copy it. Then I'm sure that I'm going to be, just, doing it once. And so once I have one, I can come in and just, I'm going to multiple place these all the way across. And so as I take a look at this, I now have my lighting, which I can, obviously dimension and move into place exactly where I want them to be. Okay, so that gets our lighting and so on. So a couple of things that I did, again, that go to play to, the actual design on this. If I, change into the drawing mode, okay, I had I imported from outside. Okay, let me see if I can find this real quick. I think it was an interior. Got so many symbols that I import and bring in. There it is, my bamboo partition. And this is actually a fairly large symbol, so I actually want to adjust this into, to fit where I want it to be. And so, again, just using the move and the copy option, I'll be able to place that in. And this was brought in from the same library that I showed you, and so we place that in there. And then also to go along with that, the same partition that I showed you a second ago when we were first started this class. Okay, and I just need to find the library that I put that in, and so let me just do a quick search for that. And so I'll pick on my draw symbol, and I believe it's also in my interior decor and accessories, and I'll just scroll down and see if I can find it relatively quick. Let me see if I can do a quick search for screen wall. There it is. And so I'll click this option right here, and I'm just going to, click one, and then I'll copy and have a second one, placed in there. And so as I take a look at this actually, for the purposes of what we're doing, then provides the screen between the two. Okay, so as I move out into the bedroom, I'm going to move that on top of the curb. We're going to assign it the exact same texture as the curb. We're going to alter the hardwood, and then I'm going to take you in, turn the reflections and all of the shadows on, and you'll be able to see exactly what this is going to look like. And so a lot of this is just being done inside the 3D. So I'll do a surface copy paste, and we're going to assign that to the custom wall that I have there. As far as the hardwood was concerned, we're going to edit this, and we'll just do a surface edit. And once again, this is probably something I'll go into the manufacturer for. Okay, and as I'm looking for that, excuse me, we'll go down into the soft plan. We got our manufacturer. We're going to go into our soft plan plus, and then we're just going to select the floorboard option that we've got right here. And now from here, I can select what the texture is going to look like and assign that to the plan. And so I'm going to edit this door. I'm going to, under the display, we're just going to close that so it's not open in the model. This is what our 3D now looks like as we come in from the bedroom area, and then as we begin to walk down towards the bathroom. Okay, for what we've done, and let's just maybe paint this wall and change it a little, to something a little bit darker. So by surface editing this, you'll see that in the color swatch, I can actually select Sherwin-Williams. I can either list them by the color, okay, or I can actually go in and show them by what their actual numbers are, number assignment is concerned, and name. And so I could pick something more of a gray on here. And at this stage, as we bring the class to a close, what I'm going to do to finish this up is I'm just going to simply come in through my options and my mode options. And under the mode, I'm going to turn on my anti-aliasing. And what that's going to do is that's going to crisp up my image. And I'm going to go into lighting, and I'm going to turn on the default lighting. And that's, the ambient light is going to, go ahead and show me, different, or brighten the entire model as far as it's concerned. And then inside the face options, I will then be able to go in and turn on my reflections. And the reflections with the glass and the mirrors and so on, that's ultimately what is going to slow down the model per se. But at this stage now, it's just running through, and it's calculating that. And you can see as with the more options that I have on, the longer that it's going to take to calculate this out. But we begin to see the reflections in the mirrors over here on the actual bathroom itself. In a moment, you'll see reflections in the glass for the shower. Okay, you're going to begin to see some depth and so on to the brick and to the various textures that are here, and the lights will begin to actually show and what they're doing as far as brightening the model itself. And so that is how we can basically get to a finished model on the plan. Now there's a couple of things that we didn't necessarily get to, but I think you could probably finish it out. I didn't put floor mat symbols in according to the finished image that you had. You could certainly play around with the different lights and so on. And so in essence, that is what we had for you today as far as the the 3D, taking the bathroom and the bedroom through to finale. And as you can see, this is all we're really missing is maybe a couple little details on this for the class. We hope that you have learned some things today and maybe encouraged you along the way with your bathroom designs. As I've said, I'm going to actually post this recording of this video early next week, very likely on Monday, so that you could go back and review this. And that is what we have for you today. So have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us today in the Friday Fundamental.